Ho, ho, ho. Tis the season. Tis mock draft season. And welcome back to Mock the Mock, where we take a look at someone else's mock draft. And I'm mocking, giving you my views, thoughts, and opinions. And what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro, and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. And today we're going to be checking out the Draft Network's own Brentley Wiseman. He has a new mock draft, so we're going to mock that sucker. Special thanks to Underdog Fantasy for being a sponsor to the video, and thank you for being a sponsor of the channel. If you use promo code Broshmo when you sign up, then they are looking to give you some holiday spirit. They are going to be gifting you upon arrival so you can start your betting journey, whether it's weekly fantasy player prop bets or just easy pick'ems. And they don't just have football, they have other sports as well. So go ahead, check them out. Let's go ahead, get into this sucker, as this is the current draft order based on standings as it stands now, which means it's gonna be the Houston Texans, and I'm gonna take a wild guess. Hold on, I'm gonna get it, my y'all Texas fans. Santa, for Christmas, I would like a new quarterback. Well, my young Texan friends, I will gift you a Bryce Young. Yeah, there we go. Bryce Young going to the Texans here. There's I don't want to say there's a right or a wrong answer, but there is a good answer. There is a good pick here in just going ahead, taking the best quarterback in this class in Bryce Young. I think he is levels ahead of the other guys behind him. Texans just go ahead, address the most important position on the field, being quarterback. It's a hard one to get right, so when you are in range to be able to justify the quarterback position, then go ahead and do so. The Chicago Bears are actually next here, as they had a pretty good game against Philly yesterday. They just wouldn't go away against the Eagles, but they get Jalen Carter. Matt Eberflus, this totally feels like Matt Eberflus' pick. I think he would totally love a cat like Carter. So the Bears, they go ahead and get him. If you were like, oh, this should be Will Anderson, I have no gripes about it. Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, they're the top non-quarterback prospects in this class, and then it drops a tier. It should be one of those two guys. We could talk about trading down, but there are no trade downs in this mock, so we're not going to really talk about it. The Seattle Seahawks via the Denver Broncos go with Will Anderson. It's really whoever the Bears decide not to go with if you're the Seahawks. So Will Anderson is the right pick here. All right, moving on. We got the Arizona Cardinals here at 4 now, going Paris Johnson. If you cannot sell yourself, if you cannot get sold on Peter Skoronski, the lack of length, him not being necessarily the high-end athlete, Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell, then you're likely looking at Paris Johnson for this tackle class. I've come around to the idea of maybe the Cardinals addressing the tackle position, so I put it up there with edge and corner. Really take whoever's the top guy between those three positions on your board. They do have a lot of offensive line free agents after this season, so Paris Johnson going here at 4. The Detroit Lions, they're going with, oh man, let's first talk. This is first via the Rams, and I'm going to give you my perspective on what this pick probably should be. I would go CJ Stroud. I know Lions fans hate hearing that. They feel comfortable with Jared Goff, but I feel like this is a free pick essentially you got from the Rams. This isn't your draft pick. Your comes a little later because y'all are pretty good, but I look at it as a swing of the bat. I think this is my favorite phrase. You don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Listen, having two good quarterbacks on the roster, it's not bad. It's not. So if it comes time when you maybe want to move on from Jared Goff, then you have a CJ Stroud there, who is my next top quarterback prospect. You have Stroud there. People are like, well, Stroud's just, his comp is Jared Goff. And then people just don't understand what freaking a comp is. You talk about play style, similarities, tendencies, and whatnot. Doesn't necessarily mean that's his ceiling is what you see now in Goff. That's not what a comp is. You're swinging the bat here, hoping to upgrade a position. There's no more of an important position than the quarterback position. Now, someone made the argument that, well, when you look at the Seahawks and Geno Smith, and it's like, yes, but at this point, the Lions do not have to have the pick of a Will Anderson or a Jalen Carter. So it's a lot different. So I tend to lean quarterback here. I understand Detroit Lion fans that want to go elsewhere. For me personally, I think the better pick would be quarterback here, and then you continue to address the defense through free agency and with the remainder of your picks. All right, but let's see what Brentley did here. He went Will Levis. See, I can't get sold on Will Levis because of the decision making, obviously. Sometimes some guys have the mind for the game and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it gets better when they get to the NFL. And I feel like you're really rolling the dice when you look at like CJ Stroud is just a much better decision maker. He may not have the mobility or they have fairly similar builds, but may not have the mobility of a guy like Will Levis. I know there are going to be like people with Stroud's like, oh, he's terrible under pressure. Though the times that he has had to improvise, I don't think they were all that bad. Like you could even go to the Michigan game where he got rushed out of the pocket. They were close to getting into the red zone. They were down 8, I think 7 or 8 at this point. And he sees this guy right, like essentially a check down right there for him. He goes for the toss and he gets hit while making that toss, and it goes errant and turns into an interception. I don't think that was a bad decision, and I don't think if under pressure or if he has to improvise that he's necessarily always going to be bad. But I just like the ceiling a bit better with Stroud in terms of where he's at right now. Will Levis, man, I get it. All the tools are there. Some people will see it, will look at it and be like, man, yeah, no, we think this guy has a chance to be special. Not to say he can't. It's just depending on how you feel, like how much you're in love with those tools. We're gonna have them ranked all different types of ways. Like for me, he's like, I think he's like 20, 21 on my big board. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I do like the idea of going quarterback for Detroit, though. Indianapolis Colts are next here, and they go C.J. Stroud. Great pick. This is a team that needs a quarterback. Really seems like the Colts are just quitting, or at least in the second half, they're just quitting. This is a team that is, their morale is shot at this point, and go ahead, once you get your new coach in there, go ahead and get your quarterback of the future, Stroud, because then after this, you're staring down what Anthony Richardson. Then it's tough to say even if there's a day 2 quarterback that you're willing to take, because Hendon Hooker is not a guy that can start because of the ACL, and even then the physical tools are kind of what they are. You know, you see is what you get, and they're still pretty nice, but it's just like, you know, he doesn't have this ludicrous ceiling like a guy like Anthony Richardson. We could talk about Tanner McKee as well, but then you kind of talk about, okay, the lack of mobility there. That's why he's not as juicy as a prospect as some of the other guys. So, yeah, just go quarterback here. Atlanta Falcons next on the clock. They go Myles Murphy. They get a nice pass rusher to go alongside Arnold Ebiketie. So I like it. I like it a lot. Carolina Panthers, they go Anthony Richardson. This is a team, yes, I get it. You're going to be desperate for quarterback. So you might be willing to reach. You're grabbing a guy like Anthony Richardson, who very likely you probably won't want to start him in year 1, but the tools are just so amazing. So I don't know. This one's going to be tough for the Panthers on the outside looking in if Will Levis or C.J. Stroud's not available for him at this pick. So it's going to be interesting nonetheless. On to the Philadelphia Eagles is via the New Orleans Saints. They go Tyree Wilson. Tyree Wilson, it's fine. It's fine. I get it. People are going to love Wilson because of the movement skills at a guy his size with his type of length. I do think he's a bit unpolished as a pass rusher. I do think his time into the snap is one of the worst in this draft. There are times where he'll jump off sides. There are times where he's just late coming off the snap. I don't think he has a bad first step. A lot of people do, but I think for him it's mainly the timing of the snap. So the Eagles, they add that along the defensive line. I wouldn't mind grabbing maybe a Brian Brazee. I think he's, for me, kind of been the more alluring pick just because I think the interior probably needs a bit more infusion of talent. They did it with Jordan Davis last year. Now you could get a Brian Brazee. The Green Bay Packers are going Michael Mayer. This is cool. I like Michael Mayer. I think he's top 15 pick. Tight end might not be sexy, and it's like, listen, he's not Kyle Pitts. He's not that freak of an athlete. But what he does bring is very similar to what you see with the TJ Hawkinson. I've already seen, like, I've referenced this a few months ago, or maybe like a month ago. And now I've started to see comps of TJ Hawkinson come out for Michael Mayer. And it's like, you've seen what he's done for the Vikings. So that's pretty solid. Like, Green Bay might want to replicate that. Robert Tonyan is a free agent. So, yeah, I like it. I don't mind it. And then we got the Las Vegas Raiders with that crazy win yesterday. Golly, I think Chandler Jones ended Mac Jones's career in New England with that stiff arm. But the Raiders go Peter Skoronski. I like this. Keep adding to that offensive line. I feel like at this point the Raiders have played themselves out of probably going a quarterback. They're probably going to stick with Derek Carr, though they could still move on from him and probably like bring in a guy like Jimmy G or such. But I think they probably stick with him and just added to the offensive line. You get Skoronski to play right tackle, and if that doesn't work out, he's going to be a very good guard, so you can play him at guard there alongside Dylan Parham. So offensive line, I like that pick, especially for a team that really wants to run the football. And, well, currently they have Josh Jacobs, but will they re-sign Josh Jacobs? Don't know about that one. Skoronski, he's a good power blocker. And then the Jacksonville Jaguars are now here at 12. I'm hoping they win the division. I really am. They go Christian Gonzalez, first corner off the board. This guy made Bruce Feldman's freaks list. And on top of that, Dane Brugler, I think, has him in the top as a top 10 pick. And I get it from a size and length perspective. Great athlete. Has really, in the second half of the season, showed the ball skills. Jacksonville could definitely use a corner opposite of Tyson Campbell. So I like the pick. There. I really do. And then the Houston Texans, they snag Quentin Johnson. This is via the Cleveland Browns, by the way. I love this. You go ahead and pair your now franchise quarterback with the best receiver in this class, or at least the guy who's going to be the top receiver for a lot of people. You get a dude that can be a scary contested catch threat vertically, a guy that'll go up, win a lot of 50-50 balls. On top of that, he's tough to bring down after the catch. He's just sturdy. He's just boot that way. I like it. The Pittsburgh Steelers. I think of Joey Porter. This one's funny because I've mocked Joey Porter so often to the Steelers recently too. Cam Sutton is a free agent. Their cornerback room is just blah. So Joey Porter being here, being the Pennsylvania native, be a good pick. The Seattle Seahawks, they went Willie Anderson. Now they get Brian Brazee falling all the way down here. Listen. Clemson's website lists his pronunciation as Brian Brazee. Is it Breezy? Might be. Might be what the broadcast says. I don't know. I'm just telling you that's what Clemson listed at. That's what I wrote it down as. That's how I'm going to pronounce it until I have heard, I guess, otherwise. But regardless, really good pick here. They get a very good penetrator that could play that 4 tech or even 5 tech for the Seahawks. So they really just addressed that front 4, and I like that. pairing him up with Will Anderson. Then you got Boye Mafe, Nowusu there. It's really, really nice. And then the New England Patriots go Jordan Addison. They're looking for a receiver that won't lateral the football. Poor Jacoby Myers, just trying to make a play for his squad. But yeah, speaking of which, Jacoby Myers is a free agent, so you get a really good replacement in him and Jordan Addison, a guy that can stretch the field both vertically and horizontally. Ideal separator, cat that has shown he can win on the outside this season, blazing speed, can make you miss. Added this type of firepower to whoever will be the quarterback for the Patriots next season. Bailey Zappi, Mac Jones, someone who's not yet on the roster. Regardless, good pick. New York Jets. They're going Broderick Jones. I like this pick. You essentially get a Trent Williams-esque player, and you're like, what? This guy's an ex-Trent Williams? No. In terms of size and how he plays, his play strength's out the wazoo. You can have him come in and play left tackle if you really want. Just move Elijah Vera Tucker to right tackle. Then you have Nate Herbig, who's really played well this year. Lincoln Tomlinson, bring back Connor McGovern, and you have a really good offensive line from there on out. Have Broderick Jones and Mekhi Becton battle out, see who plays this year, but you know Broderick Jones is the long-term answer. So I like that for the Jets. Now, this is the Detroit Lions' actual pick. They go Keely Ringo, get some cornerback help. Opposite of Jeffrey Okuda. I like that a bit. The defense has been playing much better as of late for the Lions, but that team needs a lot of talent, and you can't just solely get that through the draft. You have to bring in some savvy vets to help equip that. James Houston's been playing exceptionally well. I love that because that was a guy I was really high on. I say really high on. I had probably like a 5th round grade on him going into the draft. So it's nice to see him play well. Malcolm Rodriguez, Lee McNeil. They also have Aiden Hutchinson, obviously. All those guys are promising pieces to move forward with. I didn't even mention Kirby Joseph. So it's like now you get Keely Ringo, and things are going to look brighter in the future for this defense. So, yeah. Tampa Bay Buccaneers go Clark Phillips. Bit undersized, kind of is what it is. If you could get past 5'10", 185 and say we think he could win on the outside, then that's great. I don't know if he really fits this team coverage like schematically, but I guess it kind of is what it is. I didn't think Sean Murphy-Bunting would, but he did well. He's a free agent. Jameel Dean, the better of the two. He's a free agent. They might not be able to bring either of those guys back, so Clark Phillips could come in and it could be a legit playmaker. Yeah, dude has, 3 pick sixes this year? 2 or 3 pick sixes this season. All right, the Tennessee Titans are going Jackson Smith-Njigba. There's a lot wrong with the Titans right now, and I don't know how exactly you answer that, but getting Jackson Smith-Njigba, someone that actually could create separation, even if that's just out the slot. If you're going to tell me this guy could be more than a slot, then I'd be like, okay, yeah, potentially, but I don't think it's very likely. I really don't. This guy played 94% of his snaps in the slot in 2021, and we barely got to see him this season because of a nagging hamstring injury. That is also something that needs to be checked at the combine, see if is it like a soft tissue injury. Is this something we're going to have to worry about throughout his career? But what he can do after the catch and just be a quarterback's best friend. I like this pick at 20. It feels it would be nice to go other places, but this is probably the best pick you're going to probably be able to make. You could always go Bijan Robinson. I wonder where he's going to land in this mock. Then the Los Angeles Chargers go Jared Verse. They had another pass rusher. Joey Bosa hasn't been healthy this year. Chris Rump's a fine depth guy. He's really made some plays this year. I think he's been solid, but at the end of the day, it's like you know what he is. He's a rotation player. They do have Khalil Mack. Don't know what his contract looks like, so maybe they can look for the future. Jared Verse. Start talking about this guy in the top 20 because it's going to happen, man. Love Jared Verse. Miami Dolphins forfeited their pick, and the Dolphins just keep on hurting me. Keep on hurting me. They lose to the Bills. They have this nice losing streak going on. It was Niners, Chargers, now the Bills. Get it together, Dolphins. Fins up, though. Fins up. The New York Giants, they go Trenton Simpson at linebacker. This is kind of a sweet spot for Anthony Richardson. Obviously, he went many picks earlier, but I think this is kind of a sweet spot for Richardson. If obviously he's not on the board, you could get your pick of the top linebacker in the class. This is a team that could use some sort of starter there at linebacker. That's not Jalen Jones, the former Cowboys linebacker. On top of that, I mean, we could go corner. You still got who's currently on the board? Keely Ringo's gone, Porter's gone, Gonzalez is gone. So Cam Smith, there we go, is on the board. So he's maybe a guy to think about. Wide receiver, it's like essentially for a lot of people, the top 3 guys are off the board. So like you're talking about guys like Josh Downs, Jalen Hyatt here at this pick. And I'm just not in love with those options. I'd rather just address that on day 2. Osiris Torrance helped the inside. Low key, I'm not even gonna front. Like I don't think there's any way the Giants let Saquon leave, but he is a free agent if he goes. Bijan Robinson. Just saying. Washington Commanders, they in fact actually go Cam Smith, like this pick. That secondary could use a bit infusion of talent, young talent, and that's what Cam Smith brings. He's very scheme versatile and coming in mainly playing a very zone heavy scheme there under Jack Del Rio. The Baltimore Ravens go Bijan Robinson. Listen, J.K. Dobbins has looked really good the past couple of weeks as he's come back from injury. Obviously, hopefully you hope he can stay healthy, but he looks like the guy going forward. Outside of him, Gus Edwards is the only other running back on the roster after this season. You could get really good running back talent in day 2, day 3, so it's like you don't have to do that here. Like receiver would be nice, but again, we kind of talked how receivers kind of not the best spot on the table. So you could look to the corner class. Though, like Devon Witherspoon probably be the guy I'd be thinking of. You could look at the edge class. I think would also be reasonable. Just thinking there might be better spots to go. Denver Broncos go Cyrus Torrance. Wow, man, this is a team that actually has a lot of good interior talent. They got Glasgow currently. Cushenberry has actually held down the center position pretty solidly. I think Quentin Miners is gonna replace Dalton Reiser. They're gonna let him hit free agency. So it's like, is there a spot for Torrance really on this roster? That's kind of the question. Preferably you could get a tackle here. But I mean, the guys you're looking at, Anton Harrison, DeJuan Jones, other positions, Brian Branch. You could start thinking about the safety position with Kareem Jackson up there in dog years, like very long in the tooth. Isn't he like 34, 35? But yeah. Cincinnati Bengals, they're going Darnell Washington. I know the Draft Network really loves Darnell Washington. I don't think he's a first round talent. I think you can make the case he's around the top 50, if definitely top 75. I don't think he's this outstanding receiving threat. There's not a lot of lateral ability to his game for the most part. He is a guy that moves exceptionally well for a guy his size. You know, he's going to be a really good blocker. He's probably the best, if not one of the best run blockers in this class. And more so, what he does is he's a train. Trains, they don't veer. They go straight. That's kind of what he is. He's a locomotive. So I'd probably go elsewhere. All right, Dallas Cowboys go Rashee Rice. wide receiver out of SMU. I don't have him as a first rounder. I think, honestly, you're better served. Like, Brian Branch is there on the board. Though, you know, Branch won't be playing in the slot because Bland's done a very good job. Ideally, you can swing for one of the corners. I think there's, like, looking at it, like Jalen Jones, Devin Witherspoon, Emmanuel Forbes. I think those guys would be guys I'd jump at first before I even go. Looking at receivers, so yeah, I love Rashee Rice. He's one of my favorite prospects in this class, but just not the pick here I'd want to make for the Cowboys. Speaking of picks I wouldn't want to make, we got the Kansas City Chiefs taking Jalen Hyatt. No, I don't think you need, like, this is a team that needs defensive help. There's players there at the corner position you could draft. There's a plethora of different edge rushers you could take a stab at. Isaiah Foskey, if you're feeling real frisky, BJ Ojolari, even though he's not really a great scheme fit for Spagnuolo. I'd rather go with those guys than the speedster, the blazer. I get it. You're trying to replace what you had, Tyreek Hill, speed with speed, but I just wouldn't do it here. The Minnesota Vikings go Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois. This team needs help in the secondary. Goodness gracious. How you going to let the Colts throw on y'all? This defense needs a lot of help, and ideally I think they get that help with this pick. And Witherspoon, this guy, from what he is as an athlete, his length, the physicality he plays with, I think he would just be a great player to snag. I think this is the final pick here for the Buffalo Bills, right? Nope, there's two more. I messed up. Voorhees going to the Buffalo Bills. They could use guard help. I love Voorhees. He's top 50 for me, so it's not a big reach. I think he's also capable of playing tackle if you need him to. He did that at USC in 2021. So it's fine. Brian Branch is here. I would love to get my hands on Brian Branch. That might be the pick for me, but I'm a big fan of Voorhees. And finally, you saw it, Jahmyr Gibbs. I get it. They could go running back later on. It's whatever. I think there's probably questions. Do the receiver or the corners here really fit what the team's currently doing schematically, being a very man-heavy team that the year before they were very cover 3 heavy? I think Brian Branch actually would be a fabulous pick, a guy you could play deep, sneak in, play in the slot, play in the box if you want him to. Kind of just he just gives you that versatility. This is a team that likes to play a lot of single high, and I think he'd be capable of covering that ground. Also, what he brings as a run defender, one of the most sure tacklers in this draft class, not just safety class, but in this draft class in general. So I think we'd stick with Alabama. Brian Branch would be the pick. I get it. Miles Sanders is a free agent, but again, Miles Sanders, wasn't he a second-round pick? They have Kenneth Gainwell, who I think was like a fourth-round pick. So it's like you could get good running back talent later in the draft. You don't have to do it here with this pick. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, do the YouTube thing. And as always, till next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.